Around the world, it was a mix of commemoration in song and in the colors of Ukraine, from Berlin to Sydney to Washington, where someone put the blue and yellow on the street in front of the Russian embassy. In London, they rang Big Ben before a moment of silence to mark the anniversary. Russia is a terrorist! And in Budapest, as it was everywhere, anguish.
It's very difficult to still continue, you know. It shouldn't be like this, 21st century. It shouldn't be. Sorry.
But equally on the minds of all on this day, the resilience of Ukrainian fighters.
Ukraine has become a testament to the bravery of a nation which will never relent in its quest for freedom.
In aid of that, more help now from the U.S. The Department of Justice announcing further sanctions targeting Russia, the Pentagon announcing another $2 billion in weaponry for Ukraine. And at the UN today, with word China is now calling for a ceasefire, this warning from the U.S. Don't be fooled by that.
Russia will use any pause in fighting to consolidate control over the territory it's illegally seized and replenish its forces for further attacks.
For his part, Volodymyr Zelensky has signaled he's open to talking about China's plan, but soberingly, it comes amid reports China may soon send drones and ammunition to Russia. The U.S. has warned China against that. On whether he's worried China will soon publicly side with Russia, said President Biden.
There's no evidence to that so far.
So, Paul, I sat through that news conference with Zelensky. It went on for hours. One of the most animated moments was when he was asked about the prospect of waning support from the U.S.
Yeah, he jumped on that, didn't he, Adrienne? Look, despite what we hear from Joe Biden on the notion of waning U.S. support, potentially, a kind of warning from Zelensky today. If support from the West dwindles, the risk is that Ukraine falls. And if Ukraine falls, he continued, Russia would then take on other Baltic states and NATO countries. And if that were to happen, as he put it, Americans may find in the end their sons and daughters having to go to Europe and fight and die. It was a blunt hypothetical.
All right, Paul Hunter in Washington. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.